I got that. So, went to go see this movie for a second time. I got this cool little tin popcorn bin. I never get these. But I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. Like 3D, like printing on there. So, very nice. Also, this is Unscripted Reviews. I like that name, and I'm going to stick with that. I made like another video for like 3 minutes. I forgot to even say that, so I'm making another one. Don't know why I said that, but anyways. Man. So I've seen this movie twice already. I saw it last night and tonight, back to back. And I had to see it again. I couldn't think of a night after without watching this movie again, because there is just so much about this movie. And I will say though, along with everyone else, I'm on board. Like, just, yeah, it's one of the best animated movies of all time, if not the best Spider-Man movie ever made. There's just so much good to this movie. There's so much talent when it comes to the art, the whole animation, and then like the story, the music choices, and the acting, and the characters, everything, the themes. Everything is just so good. And I cannot sing this movie enough praises. Like, the animation is honestly like magic. I don't know what they've been feeding those guys. I don't know what they've been doing. But the talent on screen is just like, my mind is blown. The fact that there's just like so many different styles of animation. I think probably seeing it twice now, my favorite animated character in a movie has got to be Spider-Punk, Hobie. Like, when he just comes on screen, his like newspaper aesthetic, like just stop motion newspaper, just like it looks so good, and it's so different and unique, and the way his body like changes from like color to black and white. It's just, he is such a fun looking character. And he's also played by the guy, Daniel, I forgot his name, but the guy that played in Nope and the guy that played in Get Out, and a lot of other movies. Like, he was great. There's some times where I couldn't understand what he was saying. But regardless of that, I think he's one of my favorite characters in the movie. He's just so cool to look at. Like, seriously. So, like, just one character alone, the animation is just so good. And everything else, like the way there's certain scenes, like the backgrounds, like reflect the characters' moods, the choices of like color for certain events. Like, for example, there's like, a child that is saved by a captain, and it's a whole story thing I'll probably get into, but like the child's always wearing red. And I noticed at the second view, and I was like, that's kind of a cool little visual cue. And just that, and just, oh god, like you will never be bored ever watching this movie. If you're bored by the story, if you're bored by the characters, anything, like, you cannot get bored just looking at it. It is a spectacle. It is like, it's worth the price of admission just to watch it. And unlike Avatar: Way of Water, where that movie was a masterpiece of like animation and style, but literally had a horrible story, this movie is just a version of that, but better, where like at least it has a story that's competent and is good. More on that in a second, but like, Way of Water, I will never watch again, to be honest, unless it's like with friends or something, or like I'm on a binge for the two movies. I don't know. I just know Way of Water was great to look at in 3D IMAX and whatever shit, but it was so boring. Like, the movie itself was just so boring. I don't care. It was tedious to watch. It felt like its runtime. I don't care. I don't care if it was supposed to be longer. It's a spectacle, like, for real. But just this animation is just, mwah. Being an artist and seeing this on screen, like, I could not think of a better dream to have. Like, it's beautiful. Now, the story, though, that's like the other big part of this movie, besides the music and the characters and everything like that. The story is where I had to watch it a second time to understand it, right? Because I watched it last night, And I remember my very first reactions were the same as it is right now, but the animation being godly, and honestly, it is one of the best animated movies of all time. Not superheroes, not anything, just animated movies. Like, it's just, nothing even comes close to the talent that's on screen. I'm sorry. Like, there's talent out there, but just Spider-Verse has just hit that, like, peak twice now. But the story is where I was divisive, where I was like, because I remember the first movie was so streamlined and the pacing was excellent, right? And I remember just how perfect that movie was in terms of like giving every character enough time on screen, the character like growth, and just the themes of the movie and just like the whole story in general about, Miles becoming, I just spit right there, Miles becoming Spider-Man and, learning to become who he is, like, like the origins, right? It's a beautiful origin story. And I loved all of that, and the characters all got along pretty well. Like, you can't get rid of that game. And Nicolas Cage as, Spider Noir was just perfect. And Spider Ham. And then, the anime girl, I forgot her name. She was just cool to look at. She didn't really have a arc or anything, But, like, everyone just worked so well together, right? But this movie, like the story, watching it a second time, I definitely have better like feelings about it. But overall, I just think the first movie just still is better. And I only say that because it's almost the same feeling I have with Last of Us 1 and 2, where 1 is just so perfect. You just cannot beat Last of Us Part 1. It is just so perfect with like how, again, well paced. Again, a well paced story runs miles around a story that is long, has a lot in it, but it feels like it's length. And I've always said when you're making a story or a movie or a show, or you never want to feel the runtime. You never want to do that because if you feel it, something went wrong. I think the story should always like just take you and not let you go until it's done. And then you're over here like, what? It's like 2 hours from now? Oh my God. Like that is what a masterful story does. And the first movie is an hour and 40 minutes, right? That's very short, but like it's sweet and to the point. It gets what it needs to get done, and it still doesn't feel too fast or anything. It's just perfect all the way through. Last of Us, the way it broke up, like each like kind of like story or chapter with like different characters, but like one long story plot going along with it, but Joel and Ellie having to get to the hospital to, find the cure. Like that is the main thread that ties everything together, but everything else is like very segmented, right? Like that just made it so perfect, and it's just, perfect storytelling in Last of Us and the show as well. But Last of Us Part 2, it did the same thing I feel like this movie did, is that it was just very long. It had a lot to it. And a lot of it is great, right? I'm not even saying that it's so long and none of it was good or a little bit. No, most of it was excellent. Like the storytelling and everything. Last of Us, I still like Last of Us Part 2 like a lot. I played it recently, so I can have a better opinion about it. But like, there's so much depth to that game, and the story is very long. But like, there's a lot of like, like moments in there that lead to the bigger moments, and like about like the whole revenge is not good. And I know it's a very simple kind of storytelling, plot device. But I think it needed to be that long and kind of tell the story for you to really understand why Ellie didn't. I won't spoil it, I guess, for whoever didn't play it. But like again, there's a reasoning for why it was that long. But at the same time, it's a long game and it's a long story, and it feels like that, and it doesn't need to feel like that. And that always just means I can always tell when just the writers are just have so much in their minds and they just have to do it all, and sometimes you get lost in that. In this movie, like it felt like that last night. And I don't maybe like I was late for work, so maybe I was like rushed and that's why I was like I don't want to say what I want to say yet because I didn't know if that was affecting my viewing, right? But watching it again tonight, I will say that I felt it more yesterday than today, but maybe it's because I knew where it was going. I knew how long it was, because it does do the annoying thing that some movies do that people get really pissed off about. It has too many points towards the end that feel like endings, and then it just doesn't end. And whenever you do that, I don't know why writers do that. I think, again, to make you more like, what's going to happen next, right? But at the same time, you're also, if your audience is starting to feel tired or is starting to feel its runtime, they're going to see that as a way out. And when it's not a way out, they get irritated. And I could see some of my friends were doing that. And you can always just feel the audience when it's starting to get like, you can just feel that energy. People are like, okay, when's it getting over yet, right? And it's not because it's bad, but it's more because people just don't want to spend that long in a movie. And so when you give them like four or three different endings that are not real until the very ending, it makes them rush and it makes them not appreciate the story. And I just it's always been a bad storytelling device, in my opinion. And that's what this movie has. It has like at least two endings that feel like endings, but they're not. And I could still feel it. Even after watching it a second time, I can feel that, and I don't like that. I will say, again, watching it a second time, I'm able to relax more tonight too, and so I was able to appreciate and just kind of enjoy the movie that I was in. And so I didn't feel it where I was like, again, like, okay, when's it gonna end? But I can still feel the runtime, right? And I keep repeating that over and over again because that is very important to me because that shows good writing when you're able to make a 2 hours or 20 minutes to not feel like that. That's when I know you did something special. And this movie just didn't do that fully. It almost did it. I just think a lot of it was style over substance, to be honest. And that's the problem with a lot of these like setup movies, like part ones, because it's more nothing feels fulfilled, because it's all setting up for the next big thing. And that's why sometimes part ones or chapter one or whatever shit like that don't always land fully because you're always setting up for things that are going to be, taken care of in the next installment. And so you have a lot of this like build up, all this like building up of things, but you're never able to feel the relief at the end. And so that can always lead to a product feeling just very like that. And again, that's what they're supposed to do, right? They're supposed to get you to that moment. So then when the part two comes out, you're gonna go, yes, I'm gonna go see it, right? But as like a storytelling thing, I don't like that because it's a movie. It's not a TV show. It's not an episode I can watch every other week. It's not like, and then like a season and you kind of know, like, I don't know, when movies do that, like part ones, not sequels, but like part ones and part two, I've never liked that. And that could just be me. That's why I view it a certain way with this movie. All I know also is that just the characters are all great too. Like they're all cool and fun, but there's not that synergy that the first crew had, I like just like the crew this time, even though they were fun to watch and the animation just gorgeous for Piavida Parker, like the Indian Spider-Man, and then Spider-Punk and whatever, like just so cool. Like there just wasn't enough like main characters, if that makes sense. It was mostly around Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then Spider-Gwen, and then Miguel O'Hara. That's kind of the main characters if you really think about it. Everyone, and the Spot. I see the Spot is like third, and the fourth main character is Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 or whatever. But because everyone else is just kind of like there, and there's just so many, and so this is where it gets to the bad thing of a movie just throwing so much at you. And it's just kind of like, that just is how it is. Because guess what? It's the Spider-Verse, man. It's the biggest one out of the two. Right? But like, there's just so many Spider-Mans in here. And you can't really give each one a compelling story or a compelling character. It's literally just, Miles and Gwen pretty much. Like that, those are like the main characters. And that's good. Because you have like, an Alpha and Omega. Like the two halves, the yin and yang, But at the same time, you can't beat that first movie with just like very standout characters, In this one, they don't really have that. They're not standout. They're more like they're there and they're great to look at and fun to like have back and forth conversations with. But there's not that substance, that grounds them. So that is one of the other weaker parts of the story. And here comes into the spoiler territory where at the end, when Miles finds out he's in a different universe, I like that reveal. And it's funny how, like, when I first watched it, my brain didn't even think about that, right? Until I saw it a second time and just feel like, oh, it's very clearly he can't go back. But, like, I like that. That was a good subverting, everything. But when he finds out that his other version of himself is an evil Miles Morales, who's the Prowler, I just I can't. I think it has to be the design or the execution because the idea is really cool. Like your other version of yourself is evil. It's just a classic, multiverse trope, and I like it. When I watched it for the second time today, the part where the Spot guy is talking about his origin story and about how he took the Spider 42 from different universe, it shows Miles Morales and it shows the spider about to bite him, but then because of the, multi-dimensional portal thing, it takes it away. And so I like that because it's showing that our Miles, in some ways, took the spider away from that Miles, and it was like, whoa, like that was really, it was a very small detail, but I liked it because it was like that, right? But it was a very cool little detail they put like almost in the very beginning of the movie. I was like, wow, that adds a lot more depth to the whole character about, maybe he didn't want to become evil, and then like maybe he found out about that, right? About the other Miles taking his spider, or I don't know. But I just know that like the whole design of Evil Miles is just the braids and the his tone of voice is just it's so like try hard, if that makes sense. Like try hard, edgy guy. I don't know if that was on purpose, but I can't take him seriously. And that's sad because I love Miles, right? As Spider-Man, I think he's so cool. But as the Prowler, I just is not working for me. So that falls flat, and it sucks because that's kind of like the big cliffhanger, like what's gonna happen with them, right? And I don't know if they can make him cooler in the next movie. His whole design, like I can't describe it. I think he looks so much weaker when it's the Prowler and not Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man's agile, and that's why when his skinnier look doesn't look out of place for Spider-Man because that's kind of who he is, like spindly leg spider, right? But then like for the Prowler, right, that's more like intense and aggressive and more powerful, right? And you see a fucking small little kid with like, small little body hands and he's like the big mask. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. It really doesn't work. And I know like it's like more like a makeshift Prowler, but just the design, I just do not like it. I think that was probably the worst design thing in the movie, and it sucks because again, that's what you're left with at the end. So I'm still watching it. I'm like, maybe I'll like it now. I still don't like it. I don't like it. Again, the idea is cool, but the execution was just not there. It wasn't there. But other than that, again, the only weaknesses I think I have with the movie, it feels very bloated again. And again, a lot of these Spider-Man movies deal with that. Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 have that. They did it a lot worse. Let me tell you, this movie does not do that. It's like the better version of like being bloated, where it feels bloated because there's just so many characters on screen, but like it doesn't like sacrifice the important ones just so you can talk to more of the other ones, right? Like, its main focus is Miles, Gwen, Spot, and Miguel O'Hara. And that's good. But I still feel that runtime. And again, tonight I enjoyed it more but again, I knew what I was watching. I knew where it was going. I knew the scenes that were going to happen after. And that could be why I appreciated it more, just being able to relax. But I don't know. I think they shouldn't have made it that long. I feel like towards the end it could have been a lot more. But again, it's one of those kind of like movies too where it's that long and I'm watching it again and there really isn't anything I could change, if that makes sense. It had to be that long for what they want. So again, it's one of those times like where like even though I don't like the longer runtime, and I'm not a person that hates long runtimes. I actually love long run times of movies. It's just when they're done right. In this one, something happened. I I can't put my finger on it. Again, I think it's just the ending. Because to be honest, I'm thinking about it right now, and most of the movie, how long it is not. It doesn't trudge. It's just constantly, picking up things, doing go 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 go. It's that ending. It's that ending just feels so choppy. And I just don't like the ending. It's after Miles is running away from the Spider Society. After that, and he goes back to his world. After that point, everything just kind of feels like this. Like just it's like kind of like just chugging along, and everything feels off. I can't. I don't know. But other than that, though, I think it's still amazing. I think the Spot is a really good villain. I love how more evil he becomes at the end, more confident in himself, and I love Miguel O'Hara too as like the other kind of main villain in some ways. I think I really do think that because now again more spoilers, but like him talking about how like Miles is the original anomaly, and I really do like that because when you really think about it, Miles became Spider Man all through all this multi-dimensional shit, right? With like the spider and then getting trained to be Spider-Man by other Spider-Men and women, like I just think that's like he's very unique in that way, right? Which makes it like why he's the original anomaly because everything that made him Spider-Man is from is from other dimensional Spider-Mans. So like it's not like in his own universe and it makes it very like special and different. Um I do think the Spot has a lot more to do with what happened to Miguel O'Hara's family. Just there's something that he has such a aggression towards Miles. Like you can't unsee that. Like he's literally wanted to kill this kid. Like he's like so mad. So there's more to that. Like I don't know if like again what Miles is doing is what he did. That's why he's like how could you be this stupid, right? Maybe that's about it. Maybe he's more mad about Miles with the whole Spot thing because he said if you hadn't done this, Spot would never have existed and none of this would ever have happened. And maybe Spot, and again maybe he's a lot more, I don't know, like a other dimensional Spot or something like that. I don't know, like something. So there's something that Miles did personally to Miguel to have Miguel literally want to tear his guts open. Like he is mad, and it's funny. Like it's intense, and it's like he's just so fucking mad, man. He's just like he wants to kill this kid. um, but other than that, though, it is such a good movie, and I will see it again with the small problems I have with the story. Like again, it just you're just doing a little bit too much, and that happens when you have like a very big thing like Spider Verse was, right? You want to do it all, right? And I don't blame them. They want to do it. I'd probably do it all. That's the problem with art sometimes. Like you don't know when to stop, and that's why we have a part fucking two of this, which is amazing. And Beyond the Spider Verse, I don't even know what they could do. They could fucking do like not just Spider Man. Maybe they're doing like other like characters, right? Like other superheroes. That'd be amazing. I don't know what they could do. I trust they'll do a good job because all in all, I still think this is a great story. I think because I think even the director talked about how like the first movie is Miles learning to become who he is, and then the second movie is Miles learning to accept who he is, right? And then I guess the third movie is just him when he fully embraces that, right? Like it's acceptance and then embracing and like really becoming your own. And I love those kind of stories, of someone owning who they are, accepting who they are, and then learning to run with that. It's like it's such a good story, plot that I want to keep seeing. And I honestly probably one of the best like lines in the movie is Miles's mom talking to him and explaining, like, and I've never thought of it like this before either about self love or just learning to take care of yourself. Where she's like, there's that little boy, like that little son I have that used to be you, but now you're a growing up person, and just that little boy, like you need to take care of him because you're not always gonna be around your parents, and it's up to you to take care of that kid because it's a very powerful like message about just like that kid that used to be you, like they wanted so much, they wanted to become so much, and it's up to you just to take care of them because they're still a part of you, like they're still right there in your heart, and they're never gonna leave you, and that's what self love is, looking back on yourself and just being like that they needed someone, right, or they needed someone to talk to because no matter what there are people that will be there for you, but no one can be there for you but you. And so it's very powerful when like you just think about who you were as a kid and you know what you needed and you know that that kid would have just like be the person that kid could have looked up to, you know, and always protect him no matter what. Don't let people hurt him or hurt her. It's a very powerful message, and honest, like got me kind of teared up a couple like twice. Even today, just thinking about it, it's a really powerful message that we talk about a lot, like loving yourself and whatever, but like sometimes that is what stories are there for. It's to remind you about what we always hear, but remind you in a way that helps you maybe understand it better, you know? And that helped me understand it. I never looked at it like that, honestly, to thinking about the younger version of me, right? And just learning that he deserves to be taken care of. I may not, right? Like sometimes you're like you can't self-love because you can't love yourself right now, who you are. But you know what, who you could love? You could love that other version of you and just learn to be like, you know what, I want to protect that kid. I want to keep him safe. Don't let him become corrupted or whatever, and helps you become a better person in the long run. So yeah, I think the themes of this movie are even stronger than the first one. So where the story could be a little bit the themes of this story are still there and very prominent and very important. So yeah. Anyways, this is a amazing movie. They really did it, and I am so happy that this is getting like this is just they really made a good sequel, and I'm just so looking forward to the next one. I am still upset that it wasn't on my birthday. It could have been last year, October 7th, 2022. Could have been my birthday, but it wasn't, and so I'm sad. But anyways, thank you all for watching, which is no one, and I'll talk to you very soon. None of you. Peace out, Spider Society.